it's not even years, it's just a little while ago, I found that Penguin Classics, they publish a certain type of books, and only a certain type of classics make the cut for these. And I love them. Love them. So, over here, I got some of my favorites, and also some that I haven't read, but I want to show you anyways. So, we're gonna start with my absolute favorite book of all time. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I read this maybe 4 years ago. A friend gave it to me, but that was a different copy. I recently figured out that Penguin started publishing these again because they were out of print for a long time, and they started publishing them again. And this is so cool. So this book, I can read on the back for you or inside a little bit, but as far as I remember, it's about two sisters that lost their family, and they lost their family and the sisters, or one of the sisters, were accused of murdering them, and because all that was left of their family were the two sisters and their cat Jonas. And this book is basically about feeling on the outside, and these girls are being alienated by their village, and everyone thinks they're strange, and they're just horrible to these girls. So I love this book. It really is an embodiment of Shirley Jackson. It's creepy, it's horrifying, it's sad, it's melancholic. It's all you need in autumn. So the thing about these Penguin Classics, I'll mention it before I move on, is that they've got these, I don't remember again, I don't know why I want to explain things I can't say the word of, but they've got these uncut edges on the paper so that it looks really old. And it's really cool. So, on the inside, it says, "My name is Mary Catherine Blackwood. I am 18 years old and I live with my sister, Constance. I have often thought that with any luck at all, I could have been born a werewolf, because the two middle fingers on both my hands are the same length, but I have had to be content with what I had. I dislike washing myself and dogs and noise. I like my sister Constance and Richard Plantagenet and Amanita phalloides, the death cup mushroom. Everyone else in my family is dead." So this kind of sums up the weirdness of the book, because the girls are kind of strange, but again, it's perfectly written. It's so good. Let's read this too. Deluxe edition. Yeah, these are the Penguin Classics Deluxe edition. We Have Always Lived in the Castle. Shirley Jackson was born in San Francisco in 1916. She first received wild critical acclaim for her short story The Lottery, which was published in 1949. Her novels, which include The Sundial, The Bird's Nest, Hangsman, The Road Through the Wall, and Haunting of Hill House, in addition to We Have Always Lived in the Castle, are characterized Raising Demons and Life Among the Savages are her two works of nonfiction. She died in 1965. Come Along With Me is a collection of stories, lectures, and a part of the novel she was working on when she died in 1965. And here it says a little bit about is it the one? Yeah, it's an afterword written by Jonathan Lethem. So Jonathan Lethem is the best-selling author of 11 novels, including The Feral Detective, The Fortress of Solitude, and Motherless Brooklyn, winner of the National Book Critics Circle Award. He currently teaches creative writing at Pomona College in California. I hope I said that right. This book is quite short, but it's worth reading. It's so I can't find a good word to describe it. I thought about saying solemn, but that's not the word I'm looking for. It's creepy and it's sad. It honestly reminded me of, if you like the vibe of a series of unfortunate events, like the look of the movie specifically, this is for you. That was maybe too specific, but oh well. So, the next one I haven't read before, but this was the first one I ever got because when I was in London on a trip, I was looking for the Dracula one. For the life of me, I couldn't find it. But I saw this and I thought, this is what I need. This is Jane Eyre by Shirley Bronté, and it is a classic. I have this, and I showed this in another video as well, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, because I talked about it in my Children Classics video, so I'm not going to tell the whole thing again, but I'm going to talk about it quite shortly. So I saw this book, and I instantly thought Coraline, or that kind of similar style, because the back of the book, oh my gosh, is all I can say. It looks amazing. This girl, it looks like A Nightmare Before Christmas meets Coraline, and I love it. And here you maybe can tell, like, the pages even more. They're so pretty. Look here. It looks so scary, but also very cool. Yeah, it says here a little bit about the design. I'm just gonna see if it says anything about the book. Yeah, here it says. Charlotte Brontë was born in Thornton, Yorkshire in 1816, the third of 6 children of Patrick and Maria Brontë. In 1820, her father was appointed perpetual curate of Haworth, a small town in the rapidly industrializing Pennines on the edge of the Yorkshire families were educated at home. They developed a rich fantasy life among themselves, constructing together the imaginary world of Glasstown and writing in dozens of microscopically printed books. Charlotte and her brother Branwell invented their shared kingdom of Angria in 1834. From 1831 to 1832, Charlotte went as a pupil to Miss Wooler's boarding school for young ladies at Roe Head. She returned there as a teacher in 1842. She went with her sister Emily to study languages at the pensionat Hiii in Brussels, returning there as a teacher again in 1843. She returned to Haworth in 1844. In 1846, at Charlotte's instigation, the Bronté sisters published poems by Kerr, Ellis, and Acton Bell. Charlotte's first novel, The Professor, was rejected by several publishers and not published until 1857. Jane Eyre appeared in 1847 and was an instant success. Branwell Brontë died in September 1848, Emily in December of the same year, and Anne in May 1849. Charlotte, the only survivor, continued to live at Haworth Parsonage with her father. Shirley was published in 1849, and Willette in 1853, both pseudonymously. In 1854, Charlotte married her father's curate, Arthur Bell Nichols, and she died on March 31st, 1855, only a year after she married someone. That's so sad. Oh, there's a long preface too. I always used to say preface when I was younger. I could never get it correctly. So this, I actually really want to read Jane Eyre, and I said it last time I filmed with the children edition as well, that I really wanted to read it. And I really think I should, especially this fall when I have some extra time on my hands. I really, really should read it. So, the next one I've started reading before, but never finished it. I started reading it last time when I was a literature student, and I didn't finish it because I had too much to read at the time for my classes. So, this next one is a very cool and strange edition of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is a comic book, or it looks like it, and it looks like that on both sides. It's very interesting, isn't it? On the front page, it has quotes from the book, which is really interesting. I can read a few of them. While I watched the tempest, so beautiful, yet terrific, I wandered on with haste step. This noble war in the sky elevated my spirits. You can't really tell what it says here. William, dear angel, this is thy funeral, this is thy dirge. I think it says. As I said these words, I perceived in the gloom a figure which stole from behind a chop of trees near me. I stood is a definite classic, and I don't think I have to convince anyone to read this because the book holds its own. It's supposed to be amazing, and I can't wait to read this. Oh, isn't this wonderful? It's so cool. This is Frankenstein, and the doctor, I'm not sure what he's called. Oh wait, isn't he called Dr. Frankenstein? Or Frankenstein? I'm not sure. It's typical of me. Abhorred monster, fiend, that thou art, the tortures of hell are too mild, vengeant for thy crimes. I mean, I don't need to read it all, I guess, but I don't need to read it all, at least to convince you to read this. The book will do it for you. So, again, with these pages, I don't remember if this was written in like a diary or a letter. I usually don't like that, but I'll tell you more about that later. I think this book was also written as letters or diary. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a letter novel or journal novel. I usually don't like those, but again, I'll get back to this. Let's read a little bit about this, a little bit about Mary Shelley. Frankenstein. Mary Shelley was born in London in 1797, daughter of William Godwin and Mary Wollstonecraft, famous radical writers of the day. Mary's mother died tragically 10 days after the birth. Under Godwin's conscientious and expert tuition, Mary's was an intellectually stimulating childhood, though she was emotionally undernourished. In 1814, she met and soon fell in love with the then unknown Percy Bysshe Shelley, and in July they eloped to the continent. In December 1816, after Shelley's first wife, Harriet, committed suicide, Mary and Percy married. Of the 4 children she bore, Shelley, only Percy Florence survived. Oh no. They lived in Italy from 1818 until 1822, when Shelley drowned following the capsize of his boat, Ariel, in a storm. Mary returned with Percy Florence to London, where she continued to live as a professional writer until her death in 1851. The idea for Frankenstein came to Mary Godwin during a summer sojourn in 1816 with Percy Shelley on the shores of Lake Geneva, where Lord Byron was also staying. She was stimulated to begin her unique tale after Byron suggested a ghost story competition. Byron himself produced a fragment, which later inspired his physician, John Polidori, to write The Vampire, a tale. Mary completed her story back in England, and it was published as Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, in 1818. Among her other novels are The Last Man, a dystopic story set in the 21st century. 1826, Birkin Warbeck in 1830, Lodore in 1835, and Faulkner in 1837, as well as contributing many stories and essays to publications such as The Keepsake and the Westminster Review. She contributed numerous biographical essays for Lardner's Cabinet Cyclopedia from 1835 and 1838 to 39. Her other books include the first collected editions of B.B. Shelley's poetical works, and a book based on the continental travels she undertook with her son Percy Florence and his friends. Rambles in Germany and Italy. 1844. Mary Shelley died in London on February 1st, 1851. And here is the... oh, but it's not the name on the front page. It says here, Maurice Hindle was born at Great Bart in the old country of Warwickshire in England, or Warwickshire, England. He studied at the universities of Kiel, Durham, and Essex, gaining a PhD in literature from Essex in 1989. He works as arts faculty manager for the Open University in London and also teaches literature for the OU, as well as producing editions of Caleb Williams and Dracula for Penguin Classics. He has edited Godwin's last two novels, Clodacy, 1830, and Deloraine, 1833, for Pickering and Chatto's collected novels and memoirs of William Godwin in 1992. He is currently working on the life and the writings of the early 19th century chemist and poet Humphrey Davy, and a book studying Shakespeare on film. And here is the introduction. Writer, right? Yeah. Elizabeth Kostova is the author of the best-selling novel The Historian. She graduated from Yale and holds an MFA from the University of Michigan. This is a classic. If you're into horror, everyone should probably read this. I should probably have read it by now, but again, haven't gotten around to it. Let's pick up the next one. So, this next book is another book by Shirley Jackson, The Haunting of Hill House. Oh, this book has also been made into a television series on Netflix that I watched and fell in love with. And watching that series with my friend inspired her to buy me We Have Always Lived in the Castle for the first time about 4 years ago. So it actually all started with this. I have read that the TV series is quite far from this. It's not the same. They took a lot of liberties when they made it into a series, and that's totally fine. I would say probably it's like a standalone thing. I mean, it's based on this, but after what I've read, it's nothing like it. So the ground formation is there, but the series itself can't be based on the book entirely. So this is one of the first ones that I got in this series. I think maybe this was the second one, if I'm not entirely wrong. And I didn't know we had this. I was working at a bookstore, and I suddenly see this come in, and I'm like, what? Stop what you're doing. I need it. So I bought it before I put it out in the shop, which is fair. That's how it's supposed to be, I think. So this one is probably really good. I should be reading it. I'm just gonna flip the page here and see if it says something more. Oh, Shirley Jackson's stories are among the most terrifying ever written. Donna Tartt, the writer of The Secret History. I mean, yeah, this is what I mean. This is Neil Gaiman saying, Shirley Jackson was an amazing writer. If you haven't read We Have Always Lived in the Castle or The Haunting of Hill House, or read any of her short stories, you have missed out on something marvelous. So I hope this can be your inspiration if you haven't read her before and you like horror. I mean, how could you like horror if you haven't heard about this? No, I'm just kidding. It's people like different things, but you should check her out. She's amazing, and she writes weird horror. It's different from Stephen King. I saw Stephen King and made a comment in this as well, but it's different. I'm not saying that Stephen King is not good, guys, but Shirley Jackson is next level. She's amazing. Check her out. So the last one, you can see it on top here. I'm gonna bring it forward right away. It's the book, and what inspired me to start collecting these editions. I have more of them, but these are the horror books that I have. I also have a few more, but these are the ones I selected to show you. And this inspired me to collect these. The one and only Dracula. And forget what I said about letter novels not being my favorite. This is a diary journal. The whole thing is just diary excerpts of people writing, the main characters writing in their diary what's happening. That's the whole book. And I usually hate it. Like, whenever I open a book and it's a diary, I'm like, no, I don't like it. But this one is different, okay? And a lot of people say that this is not scary. And honestly, I didn't think it was that scary either. But it's characterized as a horror book, so I'll let it be here in this video because I can't skip a video. There's always, when I make a video about books, I'm like, how can I fit Dracula into this? How can I? I actually considered buying the Dracula edition of Chiltern Classics just to be in that video, but I was like, I don't think it's that beautiful, and I can spend my money more wisely. I already have 3 copies of Dracula. I don't need more. But I needed this one. This is the first, the second Dracula that I ever owned, and it's not beautiful, but when I saw this existed, I was like, this looks weird, so I need it. I can't really tell you why I love this book so much. Oh my gosh, look at this. It looks scary. I love it so much. I can't tell you exactly why I love Dracula so much. I honestly can't pinpoint it. Like, it's a long book, and it's all diaries and letters and more diary entries, and I just loved reading this so much. Jonathan Harker, my boy. I think, honestly, I'll tell you this before I read inside it, that if you've ever seen Nosferatu or Dracula, if you've ever read anything about this story, you probably know a little bit about the story. There is a man called Jonathan Harker that travels to Transylvania because he's trying to help Dracula buy some property in London, right? He's trying to help him, and he goes to his castle in Transylvania, and Dracula basically looks like, you know he's not scary. And there is one scene in this book that I read over and over and over again when I was reading it, where Jonathan is looking in the mirror, and then suddenly he turns around and Dracula's there, because Dracula's a vampire, he can't be seen in mirrors, right? And I was just picturing Dracula from Hotel Transylvania. Made the whole thing really funny. So maybe it was my perspective that made it funny and made it not so scary. It could be scary to others. Anyway, that's enough of my story with this book. It's my favorite, and maybe it's my favorite for a stupid reason. I don't care. I love it. I love it. So I'll read a bit about the story here. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty, honestly. Yeah. The thing about this book as well is it's kind of written as if it's someone in the future finding all of these documents and putting them together, as it says here. How these papers have been placed in sequence will be made manifest in the reading of them. All needless matter have been eliminated, so that a history almost at variance with the possibilities of later day belief may stand forth as simple fact. There is throughout no statement of past things wherein memory may err, for all the records chosen are exactly contemporary, given from the standpoints and within the range of knowledge of those who made them. Yep. Oh, I love this book so much. Let's read a little bit about Bram Stoker, just for this last book. So, Bram Abraham Stoker, 1847 to 1912, was born in Dublin, the son of a civil servant. He overcame an incapacitating childhood illness to attend Trinity College, Dublin, where he distinguished himself in athletics, became president of both philosophical and historical societies, and graduated in pure mathematics. From 1870 to 1877, he worked as a civil servant in Dublin Castle and published The Duties of Clerks of Petty Sessions in Ireland, 1879. During this period, he wrote dramatic criticism, and in 1878, his strong admiration for Henry Irving led the actor to appoint him acting and business manager at London Lyceum, an experience that produced personal reminiscences of Henry Irving, 1906. Stoker wrote short stories and novels, a lecture in praise of America, and the amusing Famous Impostors, 1910. Few of Stoker's works, which include The Mystery of the Sea, 1902, and The Lair of the White Worm, 1911, are now read, except for his very successful Dracula, 1897, a novel composed of journals and letters telling of the vampire Count Dracula and involving hypnotism and other occult interests. The novel was a bestseller upon first publication, soon went into paperback, and is still selling steadily. Many film versions have been made, two of the most memorable being Universal's early talkie in 1931, starring Bela Lugosi, and the Hammer films Dracula, 1958, which established Christopher Lee as the cinema's new king of vampires. Besides the numerous Hammer remakes and sequels, other versions have included Werner Herzog's idiosyncratic homage to Murnau, Nosferatu, 1979, with Klaus Kinski, while Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992, offered a visually stylish interpretation, in many ways faithful to into the novel, though Gary Oldman's Count has now become a romantic hero. That's true, a lot of people romanticize Dracula or the story of it, and also romanticize the vampire aspect of all. I mean, this book probably inspired Twilight, so if you're interested in vampires, this is a good one to start with. I read this, I think, exactly 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Maybe it was 5. I was reading it in a period of my life where I was aiming to read about 100 pages a day. That was not easy. But, and I don't read 100 pages a day right now. Trust me, work is too much these days. But if you're interested in a good horror book, in a classic, I would overall suggest this. I mean, We Have Always Lived in the Castle is also good. I'm not sure if it has inspired as many newer works. I mean, this one is like the origin to so much of the horror that we see today. But yeah, either one of those is good. I can personally suggest. I'll bring it back here. If you're looking for a good horror read, either of these are fine, because I mean, this is a little shorter and more psychological and maybe makes you think more. This one is more of a documentation. Imagine Blair Witch Project of 1800s. I don't know. It's just so good. Like, even though it's a diary novel or letters and journal novel, I don't know how to say it perfectly there, but they're both really good. The other ones that I've shown you, I haven't read personally, so I couldn't tell you with my heart that you should read it. I just love their covers and I want to read them. But these two, I stand behind them and I love them so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was relaxing and that you're also excited for fall and autumn, however you say it. I am so excited, and I want to make as many videos with maybe a fall theme or horror theme as I can before Christmas comes around. It comes around faster than you think. I'm trying not to think about it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful, and I love reading your comments. It makes me so happy. And thank you for being ever so kind to me. I don't deserve it. And I want to make more videos, or try to as much as I can. And I'm so excited. So I hope I'll see you very soon. And maybe I should now say, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening, because we're in more of a spooky vibe. Maybe I should start saying that instead in the whole of October. Maybe November as well, if I can stretch it. At least.